1st of September. It is spring. The sun is shining in Cape Town, and we are on top of the world. Under 18s, a month ago, smashed Ireland, France, and England. Under 20s took the World Championship. The Sevens took the Sevens. We are back-to-back World Cup champions, incumbent rugby championship champions for the men's. We just beat Australia at Newlands 30-22. And history at the World Cup for women box. Quarterfinalists, first time ever. Win against Italy, first time ever in 5 attempts. Breaking into the top 10, first time ever. Live, learn. Oh, we are on top of the world. I went on Cape Talk this morning. They said they're looking for a name for these women box. Give me one. Some were saying Bokkies, and I said, just call them champions.
Champions!
Champions of the world.
I love it, mate. I love it. It was absolutely glorious results. Fantastic performance. Their reaction after they won, mate, was just superb. And so happy for them that they've qualified for the playoffs, mate. Going to the quarterfinals, which is great. And onwards and upwards. They've got France up next, I believe. And then it's into the knockout rounds. And everybody needs to get behind them. Some good stuff happening there.
Yeah, champions of the world. I watched it on Super Sport. Spoke to the money man. He said he was in a pub watching it. They were flicking between Arsenal and Liverpool onto the women box. Now, that is something when people start flicking away from the top of the table English Premiership game to watch the women box play Italy at a World Cup. Just fantastic. He said the mood in the pub, the mood in our house was just, Ollie and his mates were there. We were Brian. It was just, go Bokke. And you know, the cool thing is, it shows you the value of investment in the last year. Investment in coaching team. Sways the brain, and that's not taking away anything from his support staff.
Yeah,
has been amazing as the head coach of the Bokke. And Dave Wessels and his team, since his appointment a high-performance manager at SA Rugby, just what he's done with the under-18s, under-20s, working with Kevin Foot, and now with Sways, with the women box. FNB as a sponsor. And we know without money, nothing happens. And I go back to the Olympics in Australia. When they put all the funding in the government, they won more medals than ever before. When they took the funding out, they won the least medals they had for like 30, 40 years. So without money, it just doesn't, it goes nowhere. And the investment that there's been money into the women's game, it looks like there's going to be a professional league finally for the women in this country. But I was fortunate, like a couple of weeks ago when I was in Johannesburg, I was at the hotel when they left that day. We spoke about it on the show, chatting to some of the women who'd said they'd never experienced a banquet. They'd never experienced everyone being behind them. There was this kind of like destiny of quarterfinals, that they're going to get to the quarterfinals. But to do that, they had to beat at least one of the two teams they've never beaten, Italy and France, who are really good teams. They've been playing in the Six Nations for a long, long time. Then the 66-6 win, and then going out and winning the way they did. It was a bloody good game of rugby as well. And I know you kind of, with your analytical brain and all that, just the power of that pack. But then the way we defended, and just the emotion in Sways. I mean, that guy is just a godsend for that team. And I'm reminded again in the Cape Talk interview, it's like, what defines this team? I said, was what Sways said, the difference from going from men's rugby to women's rugby was that men have to put in a performance to be happy. Women are happy, and then they put in, and then they perform. Yeah. And this is a happy team. They've got buzz. I mean, from what I read and see, they're the most popular team at that World Cup in terms of hairs and in terms of what they bring. And it's so consistent with the fabric of South African rugby at the moment. I mean, you look at the game itself. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. They play with so much endeavour. Like, it's not probably tactically not the smartest rugby on offer, but just the investment in keep ball, taking it through the phases, very much a attack-based plan. And you can see everybody's 100% into it. We've got some physical ball carriers. We've got some real speed on the edges. Ayanda Malinga, the one winger, I think she ran for over 100 meters in the match, scored a try. So fantastic performance. And you, like I say, you can just see everybody's emotionally invested in it. In a way, it kind of harks back to the whole 1995 World Cup, because you've got these ladies are representing South Africa at a World Cup where everybody's focus is on them at the moment. And I think there's a lot of desire to make things happen at this World Cup. They've already beaten Italy now. They're going to the playoffs for the first time. And I think that momentum is going to really give them a good push into the playoffs.
And you look at Cindy Boy, 39 years old, her 4th World Cup. captaining the side. She's not going to play after this. Just what an incredible send-off for someone who has been one of the pioneers of women's rugby in South Africa. I mean, just to think of, we were 12th. We were boasting about being 12th. Finally, we were languishing at 14th, 15th. And finally, there's an emphasis put on the game, and we do have the natural talent here. We do have the coaching set up. And just to see the transformation in that team and how seriously they are taken and how seriously they take themselves. And for her to, I mean, she mentioned on departure, like, she wanted to say to some of the younger women, this isn't how it's always been, It's like people didn't even know we were playing at one stage. But I go back to that Black 15s, a Black Fern 15s win in Athlone Stadium when they pumped them in the second unofficial test.
Yeah.
And we know that wasn't the Black Ferns, the core of their World Cup squad had stayed in New Zealand. But 2 years ago, we wouldn't have been competitive against even their second string New Zealand side, given they've had a Super Rugby competition going and a domestic women's league going for best part of a decade. I was just thrilled that they actually had to pull it through. There was so much pressure on them going into this game.
Totally.
Because Brazil, first ever World Cup, 66-6, expected they would win. I didn't think they'd win that well. And then you just thought, please, let them just come up with something special and to keep this momentum, to keep this ride game. Because France is a hell of a good team. It's going to take something special to even run them close. But the key was to get into the quarterfinals. And wow, here they are. What a way to start September. What a way to start spring. It is sunny in Cape Town today, no wind. And the build up to what is basically a World Cup final double header, back to back, All Blacks against the Springboks in New Zealand. I mean, everyone is thinking rugby, but at the moment, it's also women's rugby, men's rugby, and also no coincidence that it's South Africa up against France over the weekend. Imagine doing the double.
Incredible.
That would be a great weekend.
Mate. If the women Boks beat France, that'd be something else, mate. That'd be absolutely something else. And they've got the capacity to do it. From what I've seen of women's rugby, I think the spectrum is wide between the best and the worst teams. And I think a lot of the difference between the top teams and the lower teams is probably conditioning and then IP. And I think the Boks are moving their way up that ladder, certainly from an IP perspective with Swayze and probably from a conditioning point of view. And I think once they put it all together, once the conditioning's there, the plan's on point, and they're pointed in the right direction, I think you're going to see them climb the ladder quite fast. So good things on the horizon.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Mark Alexander. And I'm going to chat a bit later in the show about the launch of the Legends book, Scrumming Against All Odds, Mark's speech that he made. But he has been at the forefront of developing the women's game in this country as president. I mean, I think when that Oak took over in 2016, from Regan Hoskins, we were ranked 7th in the world. We just lost to Italy. Every sponsor had walked away. Oaks were burning the Bok jersey. He went on like a 2-year roadshow to corporate South Africa to convince them, to convince the government to stay out of court when it came to the transformation of the game. And everyone's riding the crest of a wave now. And he has remained as understated and as kind of clear in his goal as to what they want to do. And I think that victory from Cindy and Swayze and the rest of the women was a really like a thank you to him as more than anyone else in this country. If you've kind of know the behind the scenes workings that I could put in the yards as president since 2016, and it wasn't easy in the beginning. So I know he's on a plane. He's on a plane to New Zealand later this week for the next 10 days, as he says, for his sins. He does get a break in Sydney though for a World Cup, World Rugby kind of like meeting prep for the 2027 World Cup. But women Boks, their place in the sun. I looked at SARugbymag magazine's digital kind of reaction piece. On average, you would find 100 Facebook shares, maybe 30 X-feed shares, 2,500 Zels on your platform, 2,500 Facebook shares, hundreds of X-feed shares. I know it went big on Insta. Big numbers. There was genuine interest in this game.
South Africans love winners, mate. That's just how it is in this country. You win something, people get behind you, and that's what we've got right now with the women Boks. So onwards and upwards, the people are definitely behind you, and I think as much as the sort of history is against them as they go forward against France and into the playoffs, the people of South Africa are behind them and wishing them the very best, and it's a great opportunity to lay down a marker and announce your arrival on the international scene of women's rugby. So all the best, ladies.
Well, you talk winners, and we are winners, okay? I mean, just look at you. Good looking, charismatic, great foil to me, rugged, just come down from the mountains. Stecco, they've been with us from the beginning. They give away great prizes, and they're giving away great prizes over the next 5 weeks during the remainder of the Rugby Championship. The prize each week is an SPW 1,400 pressure washer. There's 5 of them. It's valued at like $1,600. All you've got to do is go to their homepage and sign up to the newsletter. That's it. And you could get a chance to win. And there's always a big prize at the end as well. And we've given away some big ones. Our biggest one was the 50,000 Rand generator that went to a lady in KZN who said, please start talking a bit more about women's rugby. And Zels said, when they win, we will.
and they have.
And they did. So yeah, so go there, kind of support them as they've supported us. Allows you to bring kind of the show to you. When we look at the Springboks and the 23, and we've been talking about that for the last couple of weeks, the 23 that will play the All Blacks at Eden Park on the 6th of September, Saturday morning.
Woo.
It's going to be great. And thanks to Auto in General, we've invited you in to be part of the conversation. And that conversation is pick your 23 this week. We've got 3 days. Rassie announces that squad early Thursday morning, and that's when we will give you our preview show on Thursday. But go onto the SA Rugby Facebook channels, go onto our WhatsApp channels, and go onto this YouTube platform of ours and just tell us the 23, not that you would pick, the 23 that you think Rassie will pick. And the closest to that is going to win lots of prizes. Lots of prizes.
Yeah.
And we know that there's going to be one change from our original 23. Bongi is out. He never made the trip to New Zealand. And that fine hooker, Faf de Klerk, has replaced.
What is it with these guys replacing scrum halves with hookers and hookers with scrum halves? It's bizarre. Very glad to see Faf back in the mix. Very sorry to see Bongi not there. And I'm hopeful that, he sorts everything out that he needs to, and he's back in the camp ASAP and gets back to his top form. As much as he hasn't been at full speed, Bongi's experience is massively valuable to the Bok cause, and he's a guy who's obviously been there and done it. So great opportunity for whoever steps into the void to lay down a marker for themselves and to close the gap on the veterans ahead of them. So it's going to be one hell of a week. I just know that the mind games have already started. Was Faf always going to come across? Is this just a late change? What does it mean for the way the Boks are going to play? Because you think Faf is more of a sign that there's a reversion to type for the Boks. Is he going to be in the match day 23 or not? And then on the flip side, the All Blacks, do they have any halfbacks left? Everybody seems to be injured. They've fortified their backline with the call-up for Lester and Ganuku, the monster centre/wing. So I think we're in for a juicy week.
All right, Faf, does he play in Auckland, or does he go straight into the Wellington test as an option, and do they go Reinach Williams because they've been there all the time?
You would think so, right? I mean, that'd be the logical thing.
Okay. You would think so. Do you know that the Boks in the history of the game have never lost to the All Blacks when picking a 7-1 split? They won at Twickenham and they won in the World Cup final, 35-7 and 12-11. Do the Boks go 6-2, 5-3, 7-1, or do they do the unthinkable? And do they kind of tap into the Mike Sharman corner? Did he play for the Reds or didn't he? Do they go 8-0? Woof. Only Sharman would be able to tell us.
Mate, what's your gut feeling on that? I mean, I can't see the Boks possibly even thinking about going 5-3. I think it has to be at least 6-2. And if they win more than that, who exactly would be the one back on that bench?
Andreas Strazer. You'll do it all, Andre the Giant. I think they go 6-2, honestly. I think they go Sasha and Grant Williams on the bench. Is Grant Williams, like just chatting to Oaks this weekend, he's got a lot of support. Oaks, we need him to start. Reinach Faf can come off the bench, close out the game. I just think the start is going to be so important, and we're going to chat in so much more detail once we see the 2 match 23s on Thursday. But the start's going to be so important. I do think this is a game that must be treated like a World Cup final. And everyone always says, hypothetically, if the World Cup final was tomorrow, he'd pick a different team. Well, it is on Saturday in terms of the magnitude of that game. The only thing is we can't lose the World Cup because we have it. We have it for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I remember when Skalkberger went down and played after the 2007 World Cup, and New Zealand was just so angry that they never made it to the semi-finals. And he was interviewed before the Rugby Championship game, and he was asked, like, did the Boks feel that they haven't really won the World Cup until they've beaten the All Blacks, and that's what makes this test so important? And he said, no, we got to the final. And they weren't there. So, no, we won it. We've got the cup.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So this is a great test. But no, we've got the cup. The poor Kiwis commentators didn't know what to say. Big Skull kind of just, you only players in front of you.
Spot on.
And New Zealand was in front of us. Paris 2023. It was one of the more dramatic finals, 12-11. I think 6-2 they go. And I'm still going with kind of the team that we picked.
Yeah.
Any changes you see? And Marnus, for me, Marnus comes onto the bench
Marnus has to come
as a straight swap for Bongi.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
always
Boks
the
starts.
possibility that Rassie rolls the dice with Jan Hendrik as the backup hooker and Boan Fetz, or I don't know, whoever else the loose head is in that squad moves in. I mean, I'd be surprised if they did that, but it's a possibility. For me, the logical thing is Marnus comes onto the bench.
Yeah, well, Dion for replay, 20 minutes, 99th game for Province back. Apparently, he's not on a plane to New Zealand. He was at the HBC this morning training. Exactly. Classic. He arrives on the field in 2 minutes. I'm back, baby, for another World Cup win.
Fuff.
So yeah, but we ask people to kind of go onto our comment section. If you are in New Zealand, let us know where you're watching from. We got some really cool messages. Nearly every part of New Zealand is where Oaks are watching from. I think it's Bok Friday there every Friday, okay? Niels Rousseau from Auckland. If you're listening, you won't see it. If you're watching, you will see it. Number plate, Stronger Together. It's a Bokke number plate flying through Auckland. Says he loves the show. It makes the Auckland traffic in the morning seem bearable. His son, he plays for the under-8s at Silverdale. He said he's the coach. Son is a fine young player. I think he captains the side. There's 13 there, so I wonder if it was rugby league. 12 of them are proudly South African. He says one local Oaks made it into the side. Brilliant for now. Maybe not in 20 years' time if they're wearing black.
I think he's the guy that does the hooker then.
Yeah, something like that. But just such South African support. And then from Bent J87, I got this really cool message. He's from Wellington, New Zealand. He said, my son 8 was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia in 2023. I watched the 2023 Rugby World Cup final in an emergency room when Malcolm Marx sent my son a video with encouragement, thoughts, and prayers. Malcolm Marx, you are just one of the greats of South African rugby. A couple of months later, he got a signed jersey from the Bok team, the World Cup winning Bok team. He's now in remission. I get goosebumps when I read this. And he will ring the bell in January 2026 when all the treatment ends. And on the 13th of September, I take him and we get to see the Bok team run out at Sky Stadium in Wellington.
Yeah.
I doubt we'll get to meet the team. I'm sure we can make a plan, share the good news of my son's condition. But as a father, a diehard Bok supporter, and a Keo Zels fan, the Boks coming to New Zealand, beating the All Blacks in Auckland and tying the victory bow in Wellington would be one of the most memorable moments for me. Thank you, Boks. Thank you, Malcolm Marx. Thanks to you two for a great show. And the plenty of hungry Safa supporters this side. And my gut tells me that Eden Park and Sky Stadium is going to feel like home. It's going to feel like South Africa for one night at least. Keep up the great work. Much love to my son. Boks by 10, baby.
Beautiful. Wow.
Now, how do you beat that?
Wow.
Okay. And I just reading that, and then the power of what this Bok team means, the symbolism.
Yeah.
And you know, as all the Boks will tell you as well, as much as it feels great to be world champions and win tournaments, it is still only a game and a sport. And when you think of an 8-year-old, what him and his dad went through in the family, for him to be able to take his boy, and we'll certainly contact the team and make sure that there's something, an introduction, especially with his hero Malcolm Marx, close to that 13th of September. But the passion that I'm getting online from the people in New Zealand who are, and yes, they may have moved there, maybe second generation. doesn't mean they can't love the Boks, eh? One or two angry oaks went online and said they must stay there. It's like, calm down, man. Then eat your cornflakes, okay? Just relax. But just loving that there is so much support for the Boks.
Yeah.
We saw how many people were at the airport at midnight in Auckland. And like they say, there is something unique about us. And Bok Friday, you don't have a Bok, you don't have an All Black Friday kind of thing. There's just something raw and unconventional and contagious about South African rugby and sports fans, and that's what makes us so special, Zels. Oaks say they just feel South African for an hour when they're on the tube, on the train, on the ferry, wherever they are. Some Oaks on the crapper. That feel good. But yeah, I mean, how are you feeling in this week? All Blacks, Springboks. It's getting closer, mate.
It's getting close.
It's getting closer. Are you still as confident as you've been all year?
No, I'm not as confident as I've been all year, mate. So, both of these teams are kind of in a space of, some question marks hanging over them. But just on your point about South Africa rallying behind the Springboks and the value of the Springboks to South Africans, it really is, for a country that and a population that has to deal with a lot of hardships and a lot of adversity, the Boks really are a rallying point for everybody. It's fantastic to see, and long may it continue. So the Boks are playing for a lot of people on the weekend again. Even though it is just a game, a lot of people are invested in it. And, obviously all of us behind the Springboks, the world champions, taking on the All Blacks at a venue that they haven't lost at since 1994, 50 test matches. There's so much riding on this, even though it's just a test match, if anything is just a test match. But it just feels like the result of this has so much implication, probably a little bit exaggerated, but you just get that feeling like, if the Boks can beat the All Blacks at Eden Park, like what can stop them from winning 3 World Cups in a row? So huge gut check for everybody involved on both sides of the field. And there's enough uncertainty around both teams to make it particularly juicy. It's not like one team's coming steaming in with massive momentum and you have to make a case for the other. It really does feel like it could go either way.
Okay, now you say Super Rugby Pacific is popcorn rugby, candy floss, basketball. Have you been humbled? Did the Aussies humble you?
No, mate, they didn't humble me.
So why would the Kiwis humble us?
So I think what we've discovered in the last couple of weeks is that there are some negative effects from the kind of game that you choose to play, and you can make yourself more vulnerable by playing a game that potentially is more interesting and exciting to watch. And the Boks have invested a season plus to kind of explore that and to see what their limits are, what their capacity is to play a wider game. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what it has done is it's brought Australia closer to us at a time where we really could smash Australia. And I think it will bring the All Blacks closer to us at a time where the All Blacks are struggling and we really are in the ascendancy. So it's not the kind of thing that you can just switch off this week and revert to type and be the team you were at the World Cup. It does take time. There are cohesion implications to veering off your plan. And the Boks have invested the time in it. Now they have to follow through. So this week is about using the things they've learned over the last 15, 16, 17 months, playing a more expansive game and put it into effect in the most difficult arena, I suppose, against the All Blacks at their fortress.
Okay, you're a man who's not shy of the odd conspiracy, occasionally. Is this the game that they've got a game plan we potentially haven't seen all year? They got a 23 we haven't seen all year, that this is all they've been building towards, or is that too simplistic and it's just going to be a more balanced approach or something more similar to what we saw in Cape Town than Johannesburg to go out and beat New Zealand? Because the kind of 23 seems to be picking itself for the Boks of who's who in the zoo. The same can't be said for the All Blacks.
No, absolutely. So to your conspiracy theory, I think it's with Rassie, any of that sort of stuff is very, very possible and maybe even probable. I'm not sure what the reward is for investing all of this time to sucker punch the All Blacks as much as I want to beat them. But it is possible. It is possible. And like you said, the All Blacks have a couple of questions themselves that need answering. It's not just about the Boks having some issues and some doubt. The All Blacks have got questions across the park almost. So, and injuries on top of that, and the weight of expectation. Yes, you're playing the Springboks, who are double world champions, but you can't say these guys are coming to New Zealand with oodles of momentum and they're in form, and like the New Zealand rugby public expects the All Blacks to beat these Boks.
And let's be honest, with 2 of the 3 tests against France, they were shaky. It was a 1-score game with 5 minutes to go in 2 of those test matches. So I keep on saying this to people. It's not that we're being arrogant. It's not that we're overconfident. When we say Boks by 10, I'll take Boks by 1. But we have every reason to believe that this back-to-back World Cup winning Springbok squad should go to New Zealand with conviction that they can win.
Yeah.
And it's been very rare that you could say that of a Springbok team, that you felt, you are actually a better squad at the moment than the All Blacks, even at home. John Smith's 2007 World Cup winners that went into the 2009 side with Farid Priya, Skalkberger, Victor Matfield, Monty, Jan-Frans Steyn, Jean de Villiers, Jacques Fourie, Bakkies Botha, Bismarck, Durant, Beast. I mean, you can, Yanni Duplessis, you can name Gurthras, Tierenkamp. Those guys that was a great squad of players, okay? Ricky January's famous try in Dunedin, first time we had won there, 30-28. Frans Steyn nailing the conversion. Monty kicked the early penalties. And then the great win in Hamilton to win the Tri-Nations, where the cross kick from Dan Carter just didn't land. We were way ahead. They came back. So there's a respect for the All Blacks at home. I mean, that's why they're the All Blacks. That's why they haven't lost for 50 matches in 31 years. But the conviction has to be that we pick the right team, we play with the right balance, and we approach it like a World Cup final. I do believe that we are good enough to win this test match. And I look at that New Zealand side, no Cam Roygaard, no Richie Mohanga. That, if they fit, that will be their World Cup halfback series. Completely different team.
Yeah.
Barrett's there at 12. You don't know who should be playing at 13. They haven't given the answer. Sevu Reece, is he the answer on the wing at the moment? They brought back Leicester. He's been back a week, and he's back in the mix. And you look, who's the other winner? Is Will Jordan their best option at fullback or wing? We know kind of how their loose trio is looking, but what's the depth behind that? They've got 2 locks basically, and that's it. We're looking at 6, 8 locks. And then they've got a very settled front row, 2 good hookers, good props. But there's nothing in the wider picture that you think, wow, they've got 6, 7 good players coming back from injury. That's not the case.
No, 100%. And you look at it and you think, who are the difference makers in that All Blacks team that are really going to trouble the Boks? And that's the conversation we would have had, and it would have given us lots of confidence going into this. But the reality is that these Boks, these guys you're talking about, lost against Tom Wright and his mates at Ellis Park, who are arguably in an even worse condition than the All Blacks. So it's quite tricky to be very bullish about the Boks. As much as they have the capacity, I agree they have the capacity to beat this All Black side, but they're not operating at anywhere near capacity. They're in second gear, and if they were in fifth gear, they would blow these guys off the park. I'm not sure where we are in that spectrum.
Mate, we had a lovely braai. Ali, Ollie's partner, arrived back from being on the boats in Norway. A couple of his mates came across around. One of them, Steve McEwen, lovely lad, bright boy, Saxhole boy, and doing well for himself, but loves rugger, loves the show. He wants to know what your issues with Tom Wright, because he actually quite rates him. He said he'd been convinced that Tom Wright wasn't up to it. We saw him actually destroy us. And what has Zels got against him? And I said, I don't know. I think maybe he skinned you at a game of touch at Hammy's.
It could be that, mate.
Could be the beard.
Could be that.
Could be the good looks.
Yeah, it could be that too.
Huh?
Yeah.
As the missus look and say, he's not a bad looking That's what that guy. He wouldn't play for Hammy's thirds. But we'll also talk about that on Thursday. There's another big game, and that's Australia in Townsville. Happy as Larry, mate.
Exactly.
Against the Pumas. And as some of the Aussies have been saying, the big game is not in Auckland, it's in Townsville.
Yeah,
The Giant Slayers are there.
early
the
kickoff,
Pumas,
6:30 our time, 2:30 in the afternoon in Australia, and
it's going to be great.
it's the flip though, right? Isn't it? I mean, Australia riding high. They beat the Boks in Ellis Park. They're back home, and for the Pumas, they just clinched their first win against the All Blacks in country, and now they're going to sort of build on that momentum against the Wallabies. It's a complete reverse situation in that match. It's going to be fabulous.
It's going to be fabulous. And you know what? We can also proudly announce that for this month, the biggest sporting brand in the country, the one that stood the tests of time, Castle Lager, are going to align with our show. They'll be the headline sponsor for the next month. It's just
Beautiful.
fantastic. And one of their big
Fabulous.
campaign drives, obviously, is to drink beer and to drink it very responsibly, is the world's biggest braai. In celebration of Heritage Day, the 24th of September. So we've got 3 weeks to build up to being a part. That's the one thing the Boks South Africa, Mzansi, doesn't have. We're not the world champions, the world record holders of having the biggest braai, and you'd think that would be a given. So go onto their site, register, be a part of it. And they're also going to give us lots of giveaways. And I do believe there's some ice cold frosties in that as well.
Wow.
With some memorabilia, maybe a couple of tickets, maybe a cuddle with Zels and myself. I don't know. But it's wonderful to have them on board, because if you think rugby, you think Boks, you think braai, and you think Castle Lager. And I will be sinking a few at 9:30 on Saturday. I'll be watching it from home, so I'll be in a safe space.
Straight back from Pilates, mate.
No, I think we'll be in Pilates on Saturday morning. I'll have watched Australia play. I'll be up early, and then that big one. We're going to have a big festive morning there, Zels. You don't know it yet, but you're going to be there with me. Imad's going to be there. We're going to bring it to you live. Oh, Bokke by 10.
Eggs and beer.
I haven't been this excited for a rugby match and this confidence since the 2003 World Cup.
There we go.
Or as confident from the opening game we played against England in the 2007 World Cup, when I said, relax, it's Boks by 20. And they ran that poster everywhere. And everyone thought I was mad, and the Boks won 36-0. Angleterre is here. So I am so hyped for this game. And you'll see it on our socials. You'll see us chatting about it. And it's the precursor to 2026. The All Blacks in South Africa, 3 tests, 5 games, 4 of them against the URC teams, and then a potential 4th test in London. But also came the news from Mark Alexander, SA Rugby's president, that there's talks underway with the New Zealand Rugby Union, and an invite has gone to the Maori All Blacks to come to South Africa and play 2 test matches. And if not 2 test matches, to play 2 matches against South African opposition. And it's a way of South Africa apologizing to any Maori player who was denied selection to South Africa during the apartheid era for missing out on that. And there's a huge commemorative thought behind that. It's just not just 2 games. And the last time the Boks played the Maoris, 1981 tour, that ill-fated tour, 12-9 to the Maoris, 79 minutes on the clock, or maybe 80 minutes on the clock. Colin Beck playing at 13, kicks a drop goal. It misses. His head goes down. Steve Pukeri, Victor Simpson, the centers of the Maoris, Billy Bush, the captain, go up. Everyone standing there. The referee walks to halfway and says it went over, blows the end whistle after the kickoff, 12-all. And it's one of the most controversial decisions. If you go and look for that video on YouTube, you can see where that ball went. It wasn't on the inside of the post. It was on the outside. So back then on tour, the Boks, if they lose, you get given the Bok head. And in the early 90s, when we came back into international rugby, Louis Lake was still the president. He organized a function with those who were still alive from the Springboks and invited some of that Maori team to South Africa. And they presented Billy Bush with a Springbok head, as if to say, we know, the world knows, and you guys deserve to have the Bok head. But this one, far more symbolic in 2026, to honor the heritage of non-racial rugby, in the sense of these guys weren't allowed here. When Brian Williams and Sid Going came in 70 and 76, respectively, they had to travel as honorary whites to be allowed in South Africa to play for the All Blacks. So, yeah, incredible change. At the launch of the book in Boerkaap, appropriately, Scrumming Against All Odds, the historian Andre Oudendal described Scrumming Against All Odds as a remarkable collection of SARu heroes finally getting their just acknowledgement. And the book is edited by Omar Esu, Gard and Gedit. There's some wonderful stories in there. I spoke to Sami Borchard, who said he was there. Mark Alexander gave a speech. He said he's never seen him give such an emotional speech, and he was choked up afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I was speaking to Mark over the weekend as well, and he said, hopefully this does close the chapter then, and we all move on. But it has to be closed. It has to be closed in the rightful way. So it's to me that's just powerful stuff. To have the Maori All Blacks, the All Blacks here for 2 months of rugby, wow,
Mate.
it's just
I mean, that really does tee up 2026. I mean, what more could you want? People have been asking for the tours to come back for years and years and years. And I think to have that development actually occur, and it's the All Blacks coming to the Republic, mate, you couldn't ask for more. And in a way, you know, when that series kicks off, when that tour kicks off, we're going to look back at this week and then next week in Wellington as part of the preview. We're going to say, well, these teams played last in the Rugby Championship, and this is what happened. So, you know, everything is tied together, and this match has massive significance, not only for this season, for next season, and probably for the next World Cup.
Well, if you look at it's the 2 that they'll play now, potentially the 4 next year, that's 6 in a row, okay? Now, there's never been a more competitive Springbok All Black rivalry since professionalism started. In the last 13 test matches, since Rassie Erasmus and then Jacques Nienaber took over in 2018, they've played each other 13 times. The Boks have won 7. They've lost 5, and they've drawn 1. The Boks have won 3 out of 5 on neutral ground in Australia, in France, and in England. They've won 3 out of 5 at home. They've won 1, drawn 1, and lost 1 in New Zealand. What do you think the average score over those 13 test matches is between the two teams?
25-23.
23-22, if you round it off.
Wow.
That's a point. And New Zealand, in those 3 matches in New Zealand, and that's to South Africa. In New Zealand, it's 28-24, courtesy of that 35-15 win when they got away from us in the first half. Less than a score and a point in it over 13 test matches. And if I have to remind you, 12-11 was the World Cup final winning score. That's how close it could be. And you only need 1 more point to win. So there is so much hype going into this match, so much respect for both teams. 7 World Cup titles between the two of them. 1 series win for the Springboks in New Zealand since the start of time, 1937. 1996, Sean Fitzpatrick, 1 series win here. It is, historically, they've got the 62 wins and we've got the 40 wins, but we had that bad patch. But this last 13 tests, and something like 29 of the 36 members in New Zealand, the Bok members, have won World Cups. They've won in New Zealand. So it can be done. Conspiracy man, tell me.
It can be done, mate. It absolutely can be done. We've done it with a lesser team before with this coach, with guys that weren't double world champions, with some players that were new on the block. We've ambushed them before, probably a more stable All Blacks team. So the Boks can definitely win this game. The probability is up for discussion, but it's a feat that can definitely be achieved.
I'm sensing a very, very diplomatic Zels. I'm sensing a reserve Zels. Why?
Well, it's Monday. We don't have the Bok team. So already we've changed what we do. We're waiting all the way till Thursday for this thing to come out. We're going to be on tenterhooks between now and then, and probably all the way until the final whistle. So you're not really sure what the Boks are doing. I think once we see that Bok team, we'll have a much clearer picture of what the plan is, and then it'll be about, can they execute that? I think for the All Blacks, they have their back against the wall, mate, and history is not something that is inconsequential and superfluous. Like, there's a reason teams don't just go in there. You and I have burnt our fingers with playing the Australians away. We've burnt our fingers with playing the Australians at Ellis Park. As much as I want the Boks to win this weekend, I think they can do it. I'm not 100% bullish about it happening.
Do you think maybe it's the Australian thing? Because there's only one consistent. Every time we burn our fingers, it's got to do with the men in gold, Australian Wallabies.
That could
the money man who had said he would have a Wallaby tattooed to his chest next to his Welsh dragon. Pity him with a Welsh dragon there.
Oh.
And the Springbok. He went out and did it. So if you go to his Instagram account, there's a wonderful little video put together of him having the Wallabies tattooed. And I said to him, I actually think that he's just a closet global rugby fan, and he wants every symbol tattooed. So when he gets to the next World Cup, he can't lose. So he would have the All Black fern on there. He would have the French cockerel on there, and the English rose. Maybe the Irish
could happen.
shamrock.
Could happen.
But the Welsh dragon, I said the Welsh dragon needs to get a roar back, and it needs to get something else back as well. But kudos to him. He did insult the Aussies. He took a beating. He took a real beating online. And he said he would go and have his his chest tattooed or his ribs tattooed, and he did do that. So shout out to him. Go onto his social media accounts and catch it. If you want to watch all the rugby, all the women's rugby this week, Super Sport, they've got so many great programs, and they are giving like unrivaled coverage to Sways de Brain and Cindy Boy and the women Boks in their prep for France. We will discuss that in greater detail, and can anyone stop England at their World Cup? They're 30 matches unbeaten. They put Samoa to the sword 92-3. They put the USA away 69-7. That USA team drew with Australia 31 all in a great game, but that kind of shows you the difference in terms of the top 2, top 3, and the rest at the Women's World Cup. A lot's going on there. The schools rugby came to an end. Also, all those matches are there on Super Sports Schools channel. Best channel out there in terms of schools rugger. Sachs did the predictable. They got pumped by Weinberg. Rondebosch did well. They beat Bishops. It's the end in Cape Town. Thank goodness for a while for the Southern Suburb schools. And Harsfontein, 3 wins in a row up north, I think with about 14 Oaks from the Boland playing for them. Do you follow schools rugby?
I follow it on and off, mate. I do follow it. I just wait on this show to hear you talk about Sachs and the N1 and Paul. That's my favorite moment.
You know that Sachs is under 16s, under 15s, under 14s, all snuck a win against Weinberg, but that means nothing when the first team takes 31 points.
Correct.
But every school at the moment is like a superstar. There's so many games on that. I think they've got 1 million subscribers as well on the app.
Brilliant.
That Supersport channel for schools. Long overdue, and it's like, it really is. It makes viewing like very comfortable. I know you guys also tap into it a lot for SA Rugby magazine when you do your rap, and it is one of the more popular raps. That and Saffers on the Road. Saffers Abroad is a popular rap, but not as popular, Zels, as the Pick and Pay ASAP. Download that, get your delivery, and you can win $50,000.
Woof.
Yes.
Wow.
There's 24 Springbok figurines, but maybe there's going to be more after the woman do more
Well, it should be
damage.
26, mate. A little Keo and a little Zels.
Just relax. Don't get ahead of yourself. Okay, so there's 24. If you get your order and you open it and there's a figurine there, you get $50,000.
Oof.
Now, the key there is also, and we saw that in the Cape Town test, Stephen Kitsoff, the Spicy Plum, was one of the guys that delivered it.
Yes.
But this is the kicker now. What are the chances of not a Keo Zels figurine, but of a delivery being made in the Blouberg area on the West Coast, and you look up and there's a guy who looks like Tom Wright, but he's got a beard, and he's dressed appropriately, and he says, open it up. Sorry, you're not a winner.
But I just wanted to tell you.
I just wanted to ride that bike. What are the chances of you, Zels, testing that suspension?
Right, absolutely. Let's get that bike up on one wheel.
All right, and I think we can make a plan. Keep on going to our WhatsApp channels, SA Rugby Magazine's socials, especially their Facebook. Keep on tuning in and start living this week like every day is 2025 Rugby World Cup final day. The two teams who have won 7 titles between them, they go back to back in Auckland and Wellington. We always scream it's Boks by 10, baby, but we'll take Boks by 1. It's going to be a riveting week. We'll be back on Thursday. Follow us on the socials.